Well, I mean, it's extremely hard to take him out there. It was the perfect storm. It was the same thing we talked about the other day when we knew we were going to have to do something like this. Is I said, this guy's going to pitch. He's going to have 2 hits. He's going to have 8 strikeouts. And to add to the storm, he's got a hit the inning before with a runner in scoring position, knowing he's got one more inning. So, you know, you couldn't have set it up any worse than it was.
Does this impact your plans going forward, how to handle his last 2 starts, given, like you said, the imperfect storm that happened, or is that a topic for tomorrow or Tuesday?
Well, Jerry, it's not going to – I don't know how it can impact it. I mean, we had a plan put in place. We'll stay with the plan for right now until we see where we are, you know, at the end of the month.
Terry, I guess based on what people saw on TV, there were some people were surmising he was trying to convince you to let him stay in.
No, it's not true.
Okay, so he knew what the plan was,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Terry, you mentioned that it was the sorry. You mentioned it was the perfect storm of circumstances before he left the game. As you're watching there, after he's out of the game, I mean, can you quite believe what you're seeing? What are you thinking there?
You don't want to know what I was thinking, but you might want to know, but I can't tell you. You know, we came into the game with the plan in place that he was going to go 5 innings, and we weren't all that concerned with the pitch counts, although we were not going to let him get real deep in pitch counts. We didn't have any particular number at hand except kind of the mid-80 would be tops. So we were hoping that early in the game, I told Dan, well, if we can get him, if he can keep the pitch count really under control, I go into the 6th inning with 62, 63 pitches. We'll push him one more and gets us deeper in the bullpen. But we had said, you know, if he only goes 5, we're going to go, you know, Robles, Reed, Clippard, and Familia and see where we are. And we never got there. So,
Terry, what are you sensing from him emotionally? Because I would imagine, you know, inherently there's a conflict there between him wanting to compete and throw 9 innings every time.
I mean, I'm sure you guys saw it when we told him he was done. I mean, his head dropped, and you could tell he was disappointed. But we all knew this was going in, like I told you guys, and you know, everybody was on the same page. And but I want you to understand something. This kid's still a tremendous competitor, tremendous, irregardless of what he's been told, what he's been told to say, what he's been told to do. He's a tremendous competitor. And moving forward, I want this kid on the pitching staff. I don't give a who's sitting in this chair. Matt Harvey should be a guy you turn to. You know, the best thing about him is, first of all, he's a pro and he gets it. He understood he was part of the process of where we're at, and as frustrated as he is because he didn't go back out, he understands it. But believe me, you want him on your team, and you want him on the mound.
Terry, is a plan for him to go 5 innings the next 2 starts, or can you tell us? It'd be less than that?
Possibly.
I think Robles was warming up in the 5th. Was that just in case pitch count, or was?
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't to prepare him for the 6th. You might have taken
Part of it was. Oh. Part of it was. He was. There was a. You know, if Matt got in trouble in the 5th, he was coming out. Otherwise, Robles was coming in anyway.
Terry, there's no way of predicting the future and what the future holds, but when you have a guy of Matt Harvey's ilk that you have to keep in kind of an inning threshold in a game, or even, dare say, a playoff game, how hard is that to manage the team in that kind of a situation?
Well, Rich, it's very hard to manage. It's not hard to manage. It's hard for me to get it because I am at heart the old school guy. But I understand where it's coming from. Therefore, you adjust to it. Because I've said before, there's lots of things in our game today I don't necessarily agree with. You either adjust to it or get out. And so I'm adjusting to it. I might get out here pretty soon, but I'm going to adjust to it right now.
Terry, what's your level of concern on Uribe?
He's pretty sore in the upper part of the chest here. He's going to get an MRI tomorrow. Right now, the X-ray didn't show anything, but we'll get him looked at again tomorrow.
Terry, you talked about part of your perfect storm being that he came up the inning before. You're going to take him out with the runner on base. Was there even a flashing thought in your mind to take form there, or is that not even a possibility?
Yeah, Mike, there was. There really was. I mean, the issue is, you know, it just kind of changed the dynamics of how we were going to work the bullpen. And with who they had coming up, I just, you know, I didn't like the way it looked, and I said, you know what, we got to get as far into this game as we can to make sure the bullpen works, and so I let him go up and hit.
Terry, I know as strongly as you feel about him as a competitor, he does feel like he wants these innings limits enforced himself, right? That's part of it.
John, you have to ask him. I can't answer that question. I mean,
and you guys have kind of had to change your plan because of everything that went on, right?
well, no doubt, there's no question that happened. But I don't know. You know, I will tell you, it doesn't really matter because it was already put in place. But you know, my conversations with Matt Harvey, you know, I think whether he has agreed to it, whether he's part of the decision-making process, I can't answer that. All I know is that when we sat down and went over the whole what's going to happen here, and he just nodded his head and that he gets it. So those questions.
Guys mentally at all in any way?
Well, I don't think so. It might have. I can't say it didn't, but I would hope it wouldn't. You know, everybody knew going in. It was not a surprise to some guy next to the dugout. It was a surprise to, as he wasn't very happy with the move. But it wasn't. Everybody knew Matt was going to come out early. We just didn't make any pitches. You know, and you know, late in that inning, you know, we had our choice. I could have brought in Gil Martin to face Ackley, and then A-Rod's coming up, in my opinion. So, it was, again, we were between a rock and a hard place, which you sometimes are, and certainly in September.
Last one, Danny. Terry, you said earlier that this wouldn't be the same type of limits if you end up with him in a playoff game. Can you be certain that if you start him in a playoff game, you're not going to have any situation like this? That you're
As I sit here today, the answer is I'm pretty sure it won't happen. Will it happen? I can't answer that. That's too far down the line right now.